Hey everybody, here we are in reading 15 and we're wondering, what is Ivan going to do with the word home? That makes us wonder. So we're maybe going to find that out in reading 15. What do you think, Roxy? Should we? Don't go to sleep on me. Yeah, right. So here we go, reading 15. The first subtitle is called Nervous. All day long, I knuckle walk circles around my cage. I'm so nervous I can't nap. I can't even eat. Well, not very much anyway. I'm ready to show Julia what I've made. It has to be Julia. She's an artist. Surely she'll truly look at my painting. She won't notice the smudges and the tears. She won't even care if the pieces don't quite fit together. She'll see all past that. Surely Julia will see what I've imagined. I watch Ruby trudge sullenly through the 4 o'clock show, and I wonder, what will happen if I fail? What if I can't make Julia understand? But of course I know the answer. Nothing will happen. Ruby will remain the main attraction at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, conveniently located off I-95, with shows at 2, 4, and 7, 365 days a year. Year after year after year. Yikes. So the next subtitle is called Showing Julia. Yikes. It's time to show my work. The mall is silent except for Thelma the Macaw, who is practicing a new phrase. Julia is finishing her homework. George is sweeping outside, and Mac has gone home for the night. I grab knot tag and carefully pull out the folded papers. So many paintings, page after page, piece after piece of my giant puzzle. I pound in my glass, and Julia glances over. Fingers trembling, I hold up one of my paintings. It's brown and green, a corner piece. I display another picture, and then another and another, each one a tiny part of the whole. Julia looks confused. But what is it? She asks. She shrugs. It doesn't matter. It's pretty just as it is. Says Thelma. No, I think. No. It does matter. Wow, will she understand? The next subtitle is called More Paintings. George calls out to Julia. He's done for the night. Grab your backpack, he says, and hurry, it's late. Gotta go, Ivan, Julia says. Julia doesn't understand. I have to find the right pieces. I dig through the pile. They're here somehow. I know they are. I find one, another. I try to hold 4 pieces up against the glass. Bob, I say, help me, hurry. Bob grabs paintings with his teeth and drags them to me. One by one, I shove pictures through the window crack. They crumple and tear. There's too many pieces. My puzzle is too big. Careful, Ivan, Julia says. Those might be worth millions someday. You never know. She arranges the paintings into a neat stack. I suppose Mac's going to want to sell these in his gift shop. She still does not understand. I shove more out the hole and more, and all of them, one after another. So Ivan's been painting, has he? George says as he puts on his coat. A lot, said Julia with a laugh. A whole lot. You're not taking all these home with you, are you? George asks. I mean, no offense to Ivan, but they're just blobs. Julia thumbs through the towering stack of paintings. Well, they might not be blobs to Ivan. Let's leave those by the office, George suggests. Mac will want to try selling them. Although why would anyone pay $40 for a finger painting a 2-year-old could do? I just don't know. I like Ivan's work, Julia says. He puts his feelings into them. He puts his hair into them, George says. Julia waves goodbye. Night, Bob. I press my nose against the glass and watch her walk away. All my work, all my planning wasted. I look at Ruby sleeping soundly, and suddenly I know she'll never leave the Big Top Mall. She'll be here forever, just like Stella. I can't let Ruby be another one and only. Next subtitle is called Chest Beating. Maybe he gets Julia to come back. Often when visitors come to see me, they beat their hands against their puny chests, pretending to be me. They pound away soundless as the wet wings of a new butterfly. The chest beating of a mad gorilla is not something you ever want to hear. Not even if you're wearing earplugs. Not even if you're 3 miles away wearing earplugs. So I'm wondering if he's going to do that right now. A real chest beating sends the whole jungle running, as if the sky is broken open, as if men with guns are near. Next subtitle is called Angry. Thump. The sound. My sound. Echoes through the mall. Julia and George spin around. Julia drops her backpack. George drops his keys. The pile of pictures goes flying. Thump, thump, thump. I bounce off the walls. I screech and bellow. I beat and beat and beat my chest. Bob hides under Notag, his paws over his ears. I'm angry. At last. I have someone to protect. The next subtitle is called Puzzle Pieces. After a long while, I grow quiet. I sit. It's hard work being angry. Julia looks at me with disbelieving eyes. I'm panting. I'm a little out of shape. What the heck was that? George demands. Something's really wrong, Julia says. I've never seen Ivan act that way. He seems to be calming down, thank goodness, George says. Julia shakes her head. He's still quite upset, Dad. Look at his eyes. The pictures are scattered all over the floor like autumn leaves. What a mess, George says, sighing. Wish I hadn't bothered sweeping tonight. Do you think Ivan's okay, Julia asks. Probably just a temper tantrum, George says. He reaches under a chair to retrieve a brown and red picture. Can't say I'd blame the guy stuck in that tiny little cage all these years. Julia starts to answer, but then she freezes. She cocks her head. She stares at her feet where the pictures lie in disarray. Dad, she whispers, come see this. Wow, what do you think? I'm sure he's another Rembrandt, George says. Let's pick these up and get going, Jules. I'm exhausted. Dad, she says again, seriously, look at these. George follows her gaze. I see blobs, many, many blobs, along with an occasional swirl. Please, can we go home now? There's an H, Dad. Julia kneels down, straightening one picture, then another. There's an H, and here. She grabs more pictures. Put this one here, and I don't know, maybe that one. You have an E. George rubs his eyes. I hold my breath. Julia is running now. She picks up one picture and sets down another. It's like a puzzle, Dad. This is something. It's words. It's a word, maybe words, and a picture of something, a giant picture. Jules, George says, this is crazy. But he's looking at the floor too, wandering from picture to picture and scratching his head. H, Julia says. E, O. O? Julia chews her lower lip. H-E-O? And that looks a lot like an I, like an I. H-E-O-I? George writes in the air with his finger. I-E-O-H? Not the letter, an actual I. And there's a foot or maybe a tree and a trunk. Dad, I think that's a trunk. Julia runs to my window. Ivan, she whispers, what did you make? I stare back. I cross my arms. This is taking much longer than I thought it would. Humans. Sometimes they make chimps look smart. The next subtitle is called Finally. Julia and George take the pictures to the ring where there's room to see them all. An hour passes as they try to assemble my puzzle. Ruby's awake now, and she and Bob and I watch. Ivan, Ruby says, is that a picture of me? Yes, I say proudly. Where am I supposed to be? That's a zoo, Ruby. See the walls and the grass and the people looking at you? Ruby squints. Who are all those other elephants? You haven't met them, I say, yet. It's a very nice zoo, Ruby says with an approving nod. Bob nudges me with his cold nose. It is indeed. In the ring, Julia pumps her fist in the air. Yes, she says. I told you, Dad. There it is. H-O-M-E. Home. George gazes at the letters. He spins around to look at me. Maybe it's just coincidence, Jules. You know, a 1 in a trillion kind of thing, like an old saying about a chimp and a typewriter. Give him long enough and he'll write a novel. I make a grumbling noise, as if a chimp could write a letter, let alone a book. Then how do you explain the rest of it, Julia demands. The picture of Ruby in the zoo? How do you know it's a zoo, George asks. See the circle at the gate? There's a red giraffe in it. George squints and tilts his head. Are you sure that's a giraffe? I was thinking more along the lines of a disformed cat. It's the logo for the zoo, Dad. It's on all their signs. Explain that. George gave me a helpless smile. I can't begin to. I'm just saying that there has to be a logical explanation. Look how big this is. Julia puts the last piece of Ruby's right ear into place. It's huge. It's definitely large, George agrees. Julia watches me. She chews on her thumbnail. I see the question in her eyes. She turns back to the paintings and stares at them, looking, truly looking. A slow smile dawns on Julia's face. Dad, she says, I have an idea, a big idea. Julia races around the edge of my painting, her arms spread wide. Big billboard big. I'm not following you. I think this is meant to be on a billboard. That's what Ivan wants. George crosses his arms over his chest. What Ivan wants? He repeated slowly. And you know this because you two have been chatting? Because I'm an artist and he's an artist. Says George. Says George. Julia clasps her hands together. Come on, Dad, I'm begging you. George shakes his head. No, I'm not doing that. No billboard, no way. I'll get the letter, Julia says. You get the glue. I know it's dark out, but the billboard's lit. Mac will fire me, Jules. Julia considers. But think of the publicity, Dad. Everybody would know about Ruby. You want me to put up a sign that shows Ruby in a zoo with the word home in giant letters? George gestures toward my pictures. A sign, incidentally, that just happens to be made by a gorilla? Exactly. And you want me to do this without Mac's permission? George asks. Exactly. No, George says, no way. Julia goes to the edge of the ring, careful not to step on any of the paintings. She picks up Mac's claw stick. She walks back and hands it to her father. George runs a finger along the blade. She's just a baby, Dad. Don't you want to help her? But how would it help, Jules? Even if lots of people see Ivan's sign, that doesn't mean anything's going to change. I'm not exactly sure yet, Julia shakes her head. Maybe people will see the sign and they'll know this isn't where Ruby belongs. Maybe they'll want to help her too. George sighs. He looks at Ruby. She waves her trunk. It's a matter of principle, Dad. Principal. George corrects. Dad, Julia says softly, what if Ruby ends up like Stella? George looks at me, at Ruby, at Julia. He drops the claw stick. The ladder, he says quietly, is in the storage locker. Whoa. And then the next subtitle is called The Next Morning. I watch Mac's car slam to a halt in the parking lot. He leaps out. He stares at the billboard. His jaw is open. He doesn't move for a long time. Next subtitle is called Mad Humans. A mad gorilla is loud, but a mad human can be loud too, especially when he's throwing chairs and turning over tables and breaking the cotton candy machine. The next subtitle is called Phone Call. Mac is kicking a trash can along the food court when the phone rings. He answers it, red-faced and sweating. What the? He demands. He glares at me. I don't know what He starts to say when he stops to listen. Who? Julia, who? Yes. Oh, sure, George's kid. She's the one who called you? More talking. And with the phone in his ear, Mac comes closer to my cage, eyeing me suspiciously. Yeah, he says. He paints? Sure. We've been selling his art for quite a while. There's a long pause. Yeah, absolutely, it was my idea. Mac nods. A smile starts at the corner of his mouth. Photos? No problem. You want to see him in action? Come on down, have a look. We're open 365 days a year. Can't miss us. We're straight off I-95. Mac picks up the overturned trash can. Yeah, I think he'll be adding more pictures. It's, what do you call it? A work in progress. When the call is done, Mac shakes his head. Impossible, he says. An hour later, a man with a camera comes to take my picture. He's from the local paper, the one Julia called. How about you take one of me with the elephant? Mac suggests, his arm draped around Ruby's back, grinning as the camera clicks. Perfect, the man says. Perfect, Mac agrees. Wow. So that is the end of exciting reading 15. Think of all the things that happened in 15. You will want to talk about them. Yeah, you will.